Hello, this is an English teacher reading the last chapter in the section titled Fantine of Les Misérables by Victor Hugo, the Ballantine Books Abridged edition. Counterstroke. The Chamber of Fantine. Day began to dawn. Fantine had had a feverish and sleepless night, yet full of happy visions. She fell asleep at daybreak. Sister Simplice, who had watched with her, took advantage of this slumber to go and prepare a new potion of quinine. The good sister had been for a few moments in the laboratory of the infirmary, bending over her vials and drugs, looking at them very closely on account of the mist which the dawn cast over all objects, when suddenly she turned her head and uttered a faint cry. Monsieur Madeleine stood before her. He had just come in silently. "You, Monsieur the Mayor!" she exclaimed. "How is the poor woman?" he answered in a low voice. "Better just now, but we have been very anxious indeed." She explained what had happened, that Fantine had been very ill the night before, but was now better, because she believed that the mayor had gone to Montfermeil for her child. The sister dared not question the mayor, but she saw clearly from his manner that he had not come from that place. "That is well," said he. "You did right not to deceive her." "Yes," returned the sister, "but now, Monsieur the Mayor, when she sees you without her child, what shall we tell her?" He reflected for a moment, then said, "God will inspire us." He asked, "Can I see her?" "Will not Monsieur the Mayor bring back her child?" asked the sister, scarcely daring to venture a question. "Certainly, but 2 or 3 days are necessary." "If she does not see Monsieur the Mayor here," continued the sister timidly, "she will not know that he had returned. It will be easy for her to have patience, and when the child comes, she will think that naturally that Monsieur the Mayor has just arrived with her. Then we will not have to tell her a falsehood." Monsieur Madeleine seemed to reflect for a few moments, then said with his calm gravity, "No, my sister, I must see her. Perhaps I have not much time." The nun did not seem to notice this perhaps, which gave an obscure and singular significance to the words of Monsieur the Mayor. She answered, lowering her eyes and voice respectfully, "In that case, she is asleep, but Monsieur can go in." He made a few remarks about a door that shut with difficulty, the noise of which might awaken the sick woman, then entered the chamber of Fantine, approached her bed, and opened the curtains. She was sleeping. Her pallor had become whiteness, and her cheeks were glowing. Her long, fair eyelashes, the only beauty left to her of her maidenhood and youth, quivered as they lay closed upon her cheek. Her whole person trembled as if with the fluttering of wings which were felt but could not be seen, and which seemed about to unfold and bear her away. To see her thus, no one could have believed that her life was despaired of. She looked more as if about to soar away than to die. Monsieur Madeleine remained for some time motionless near the bed, looking by turns at the patient and the crucifix, as he had done 2 months before on the day when he came for the first time to see her in this asylum. They were still there, both in the same attitude, she sleeping, he praying. Only now, after these 2 months had rolled away, her hair was gray and his was white. The sister had not entered with him. He stood by the bed with his finger on his lips, as if there were someone in the room to silence. She opened her eyes, saw him, and said tranquilly, with a smile, "And Cosette?" Fantine happy. She did not start with surprise or joy. She was joy itself. The simple question, "And Cosette?" was asked with such deep faith, with so much certainty, with so complete an absence of disquiet or doubt, that he could find no word in reply. She continued, "I knew that you were there. I was asleep, but I saw you. I have seen you for a long time. I have followed you with my eyes the whole night. You were in a halo of glory, and all manner of celestial forms were hovering around you." He raised his eyes towards the crucifix. "But tell me, where is Cosette?" she resumed. "Why not put her on my bed that I might see her the instant I woke?" He answered something mechanically, which he could never afterwards recall. Happily the physician had come, and had been apprised of this. He came to the aid of Monsieur Madeleine. "My child," said he. Be calm. Your daughter is here. The eyes of Fantine beamed with joy and lighted up her whole countenance. She clasped her hands with an expression full of the most violent and most gentle entreaty. "Oh," she exclaimed, "bring her to me." Touching illusion of the mother, Cosette was still to her a little child to be carried in the arms. "Not yet," continued the physician, "not at this moment. You have some fever still. The sight of your child will agitate you and make you worse. We must cure you first." She interrupted him impetuously. "But I am cured. I tell you I am cured. Is this physician a fool? I will see my child." "You see how you are carried away," said the physician. "So long as you are in this state, I cannot let you have your child. It is not enough to see her, you must live for her. When you are reasonable, I will bring her to you myself." "Sir, I ask your pardon. I sincerely ask your pardon. Once I would not have spoken as I have now, but so many misfortunes have befallen me that sometimes I do not know what I am saying. I understand. You fear excitement. I will wait as long as you wish, but I am sure that it will not harm me to see my daughter. I see her now. I have not taken my eyes from her since last night. Let them bring her to me now, and I will speak to her very gently, that is all. It is not very natural that I should wish to see my child when they have been to the Montfermeil on purpose to bring her to me. I am not angry. I know that I am going to be very happy. All night I saw figures in white smiling on me. As soon as the doctor pleases, he can bring Cosette. My fever is gone, for I am cured. I feel that there is scarcely anything the matter with me, but I will act as if I were ill, and do not stir so as to please the ladies here. When they see that I am calm, they will say, 'You must give her the child.'" Monsieur Madeleine was sitting in a chair by the side of the bed. She turned towards him and made visible efforts to appear calm and very good, as she said, in that weakness of disease which resembles childhood, so that, seeing her so peaceful, there should be no objection to bringing her Cosette. Nevertheless, although restraining herself, she could not help addressing 1,000 questions to Monsieur Madeleine. "Did you have a pleasant journey, Monsieur the Mayor? Oh, how good you have been to go for her! Tell me only how she is. Did she bear the journey well? Ah, she will not know me. In all this time she has forgotten me, poor kitten. Children have no memory. They are like birds. Today they see one thing and tomorrow another and remember nothing. Could they not bring her here for one little moment? They might take her away immediately. Say, you are master here. Are you willing?" He took her hand. "Cosette is beautiful," said he. "Cosette is well. You shall see her soon, but be quiet. You talk too fast, and then you throw your arms out of bed, which makes you cough." In fact, coughing fits interrupted Fantine at almost every word. She did not murmur. She feared that by too eager entreaties she had weakened the confidence which she wished to inspire, and began to talk about indifferent subjects. "Montfermeil is a pretty place, is it not? In summer people go there on pleasure parties. Do the Thénardiers do a good business? Not many great people pass through that country. Their inn is kind of a chop house." Monsieur Madeleine still held her hand, and looked at her with anxiety. It was evident that he had come to tell her things before which his mind now hesitated. The physician had made his visit and retired. Sister Simplice alone remained with them. But in the midst of the silence Fantine cried out, "I hear her! Oh, darling, I hear her!" There was a child playing in the court, the child of the portress or some workwoman. It was one of those chances which are always met with and which seem to make part of the mysterious representation of tragic events. The child, which was a little girl, was running up and down to keep herself warm, singing and laughing in a loud voice. Alas, with what are not the plays of children mingled! Fantine had heard this little girl singing. "Oh," said she, "it is my Cosette. I know her voice." The child departed as she had come, and the voice died away. Fantine listened for some time. A shadow came over her face, and Monsieur Madeleine heard her whisper, "How wicked is it of the doctor to not let me see my child! That man has a bad face." And yet her happy train of thought returned. With her head on the pillow, she continued to talk to herself. "How happy we shall be! We will have a little garden in the first place. Monsieur Madeleine has promised it to me. My child will play in the garden. She must know her letters now. I will teach her to spell. She will chase the butterflies in the grass, and I will watch her. He had to let go of the hand of Fantine. He listened to the words as one listens to the wind that blows, his eyes on the ground, and his mind plunged into unfathomable reflections. Suddenly she ceased speaking and raised her head mechanically. Fantine had become appalling. She did not speak. She did not breathe. She half raised herself in the bed. The covering fell from her emaciated shoulders. Her countenance, radiant a moment before, became livid, and her eyes, dilated with terror, seemed to fasten on something before her at the other end of the room. "Good God!" exclaimed he. "What is the matter, Fantine?" She did not answer. She did not take her eyes from the object which she seemed to see, but touched his arm with one hand, and with the other made a sign to him to look behind him. He turned and saw Javert. Authority resumes its sway. Fantine could not endure this hideous face. She felt as if she were dying. She hid her face with both hands and shrieked in anguish. "Monsieur Madeleine, save me!" Jean Valjean, we shall call him by no other name henceforth, had risen. He said to Fantine in his gentlest and calmest tone, "Be composed. It is not for you that he comes." He then turned to Javert and said, "I know what you want." Javert answered, "Hurry along." There was in the manner in which these two words were uttered an inexpressible something which reminded you of a wild beast and a madman. Javert did not say "hurry along," he said "hurry along." No orthography can express the tone in which this was pronounced. It ceased to be human speech. It was a howl. At the exclamation of Javert, Fantine had opened her eyes again, but the mayor was there. What could she fear? Javert advanced to the middle of the chamber, exclaiming, "Hey there! Are you coming?" The unhappy woman looked around her. There was no one but the nun and the mayor. To whom could this contemptuous familiarity be addressed? To herself alone. She shuddered. Then she saw a mysterious thing, so mysterious that its like had never appeared to her in the darkest delirium of fever. She saw the spy Javert seize Monsieur the Mayor by the collar. She saw Monsieur the Mayor bow his head. The world seemed vanishing before her sight. Javert, in fact, had taken Jean Valjean by the collar. Javert burst into a horrid laugh, displaying all his teeth. "There is no Monsieur the Mayor here any longer," said he. Jean Valjean did not attempt to disturb the hand which grasped the collar of his coat. He said, "Javert." Javert interrupted him. "Call me Monsieur the Inspector." "Monsieur." "Jean Valjean, I would like to speak a word with you in private." "Aloud." "Speak aloud," said Javert. "People speak aloud to me." Jean Valjean went on, lowering his voice. "It is a request that I have to make of you. I tell you to speak aloud, but this should not be heard by anyone but yourself." "What is that to me? I will not listen." Jean Valjean turned to him and said rapidly in a very low voice, "Give me 3 days. 3 days to go for the child of this unhappy woman. I will pay whatever is necessary. You shall accompany me, if you like." "Are you laughing at me?" cried Javert. "Hey, I did not think you were so stupid. You ask for 3 days to get away, and tell me that you are going to go for this girl's child. Ha! That's good. That is good." Fantine shivered. "My child!" she exclaimed. "Going for my child! And she is not here. Sister, tell me, where is Cosette? I want my child. Monsieur Madeleine, Monsieur the Mayor." Javert stamped his foot. "There is the other now. Hold your tongue, hussy." He gazed steadily at Fantine and added, grasping anew the cravat, shirt, and coat collar of Jean Valjean, "I tell you that there is no Monsieur Madeleine, and that there is no Monsieur the Mayor. There is a robber, there is a brigand, there is a convict called Jean Valjean, and I have got him. That is what there is." Fantine started upright, supporting herself by her rigid arms and hands. She looked at Jean Valjean, then Javert, then at the nun. She opened her mouth as if to speak. A rattle came from her throat. Her teeth struck together. She stretched out her arms in anguish, convulsively opening her hands and groping about her like one who is drowning, then sank suddenly back upon the pillow. Her head struck the head of the bed and fell forward on her breast, the mouth gaping, the eyes open and glazed. She was dead. Jean Valjean put his hand on that of Javert, which held him, and opened it as he would have opened the hand of a child. Then he said, "You have killed this woman." Have done with this, cried Javert, furious. I am not here to listen to sermons. Save all that. The guard is below. Come right along, or the handcuffs. There stood in a corner of the room an old iron bedstead in a dilapidated condition, which the sisters used as a camp bed when they watched. Jean Valjean went to the bed, wrenched out the rickety head bar, a thing easy for muscles like his, in the twinkling of an eye, and with the bar in his clenched fist, looked at Javert. Javert recoiled towards the door. Jean Valjean, his iron bar in hand, walked slowly towards the bed of Fantine. On reaching it, he turned and said to Javert in a voice that could scarcely be heard, I advise you not to disturb me now. Nothing is more certain than that Javert trembled. He had an idea of calling the guard, but Jean Valjean might profit by his absence to escape. He remained, therefore, grasped the bottom of his cane, and leaned against the framework of the door without taking his eyes from Jean Valjean. Jean Valjean rested his elbow upon the post, and his head upon his hand, and gazed at Fantine, stretched motionless before him. He remained thus, mute and absorbed, evidently lost to everything of this life. His countenance and attitude bespoke nothing but inexpressible pity. Jean Valjean took Fantine's head in his hands, and arranged it on the pillow, as a mother would have done for her child, then fastened the string of her nightdress, and replaced her hair beneath her cap. This done, he closed her eyes. The face of Fantine at this instant seemed strangely illumined. Death is the entrance into the great light. Fantine's hand hung over the side of the bed. Jean Valjean knelt before this hand, raised it gently, and kissed it. Then he rose, and turning to Javert, said, Now I am at your disposal. A fitting tomb. Javert put Jean Valjean in the city prison. The arrest of Monsieur Madeleine produced a sensation, or rather an extraordinary commotion, at M. We are sorry not to be able to disguise the fact that, on this single sentence, he was a galley slave, almost everybody abandoned him. 3 or 4 persons alone in the whole city remained faithful to his memory. The old portress, who had been his servant, was among the number. On the evening of this same day, the worthy old woman was sitting in her lodge, still quite bewildered and sunk in sad reflections. The factory had been closed all day. The carriage doors were bolted. The street was deserted. There was no one in the house but the 2 nuns, Sister Perpetua and Sister Simplice, who were watching the corpse of Fantine. Towards the time when Monsieur Madeleine had been accustomed to return, the honest portress rose mechanically, took the key of his room from a drawer, with the taper stand that he used at night to light himself up the stairs, then hung the key on a nail from which he had been in the habit of taking it, and placed the taper stand by its side, as if she were expecting him. She then seated herself again in her chair and resumed her reflections. The poor old woman had done all this without being conscious of it. More than 2 hours had elapsed when she started from her reverie and exclaimed, Why, bless me! I have hung his key on the nail. Just then, the window of her box opened, a hand passed through the opening, took the key and stand, and lighted the taper at the candle which was burning. The portress raised her eyes. She was transfixed with astonishment. A cry rose to her lips, but she could not give it utterance. She knew the hand, the arm, the coat sleeve. It was Monsieur Madeleine. She was speechless for some seconds, thunderstruck, as she said herself afterwards, in giving her account of the affair. My God, Monsieur Mayor! She exclaimed. I thought you were... She stopped. The end of her sentence would not have been respectful to the beginning. To her, Jean Valjean was still Monsieur the Mayor. He completed her thought. In prison, said he. I was there. I broke a bar from the window, let myself fall from the top of the roof, and here I am. I am going to my room. Go for Sister Simplice. She is doubtless beside the poor woman. The old servant hastily obeyed. He ascended the staircase which led to his room. On reaching the top, he left his taper stand on the upper stair, opened his door with little noise, felt his way to the window and closed the shutter, then came back, took his taper, and went into the chamber. The precaution was not useless. It will be remembered that his window could not be seen from the street. He cast a glance about him, over his table, his chair, his bed, which had not been slept in for 3 days. There remained no trace of the disorder of the night before the last. The portress had put the room to rights, only she had picked up from the ashes and laid in order on the table the ends of the loaded club and the 40-sou piece, blackened by the fire. She took a sheet of paper and wrote, "These are the ends of my loaded club and the 40 sou piece stolen from Petit Gervais, of which I spoke at the court of assizes." Then placed the 2 bits of iron and the piece of silver on the sheet in such a way that it would be the first thing perceived on entering the room. He took from a wardrobe an old shirt which he tore into several pieces, and in which he packed the 2 silver candlesticks. In all this there was neither haste nor agitation. 2 gentle taps were heard at the door. "Come in," said he. It was Sister Simplice. She was pale, her eyes were red, and the candle which she held trembled in her hand. The shocks of destiny have this peculiarity. However subdued or disciplined our feelings may be, they draw out the human nature from the depths of our souls and compel us to exhibit it to others. In the agitation of this day the nun had become a woman. She had wept, she was trembling. Jean Valjean had written a few lines on a piece of paper, which he handed to the nun, saying, "Sister, you will give this to the curé." The paper was not folded. She cast her eyes on it. "You may read it," said he. She read, "I beg Monsieur the curé to take charge of all that I leave here. He will please defray therefrom the expenses of my trial, and of the burial of the woman who died this morning. The remainder is for the poor." The sister attempted to speak, but could scarcely stammer out a few inarticulate sounds. She succeeded, however, in saying, "Does not Monsieur the Mayor wish to see this poor unfortunate again for the last time?" "No, I am pursued. I should only be arrested in her chamber. It would disturb her." He had scarcely finished when there was a loud noise on the staircase. They heard a tumult of steps ascending, and the old portress exclaiming in her loudest and most piercing tones, "My good sir, I swear to you in the name of God that nobody has come in here the whole day and the whole evening, that I have not even once left the door." A man replied, "But yet there is light in this room." They recognized the voice of Javert. The chamber was so arranged that the door in opening covered the corner of the wall to the right. Jean Valjean blew out the taper and placed himself in this corner. Sister Simplice fell on her knees near the table. The door opened. Javert entered. The whispering of several men and the protestations of the portress were heard in the hall. The nun did not raise her eyes. She was praying. The candle was on the mantel, and gave but a dim light. Javert perceived the sister and stopped, abashed. It will be remembered that the very foundation of Javert, his element, the medium in which he breathed, was veneration for all authority. He was perfectly homogeneous, and admitted of no objection or abridgment. To him, be it understood, ecclesiastical authority was the highest of all. He was devout, superficial, and correct, upon this point as upon all others. In his eyes, a priest was a spirit who was never mistaken, a nun was a being who never sinned. They were souls walled in from this world, with a single door which never opened but for the exit of truth. On perceiving the sister, his first impulse was to retire. There was also another duty which held him, and which urged him imperiously in the opposite direction. His second impulse was to remain and to venture at least one question. This was the Sister Simplice, who had never lied in her life. Javert knew this, and venerated her especially on account of it. "Sister," said he, "are you alone in this room?" There was a fearful instant during which the poor portress felt her limbs falter beneath her. The sister raised her eyes and replied, "Yes." "Then," continued Javert, "excuse me if I persist. It is my duty. You have not seen this evening a person, a man. He has escaped. We are in search of him. Jean Valjean, you have not seen him." The sister answered, "No." She lied. 2 lies in succession, one upon another, without hesitation, quickly, as if she were an adept in it. "Your pardon," said Javert, and he withdrew, bowing reverently. The affirmation of the sister was to Javert something so decisive that he did not even notice the singularity of this taper, just blown out and smoking on the table. An hour afterwards, a man was walking rapidly in the darkness beneath the trees from M. sur M. in the direction of Paris. This man was Jean Valjean. It has been established by the testimony of 2 or 3 wagoners who met him that he carried a bundle and was dressed in a blouse. Where did he get this blouse? It was never known. Nevertheless, an old artisan had died in the infirmary of the factory a few days before, leaving nothing but his blouse. This might have been the one. A last word in regard to Fantine. We have all one mother, the earth. Fantine was restored to this mother.